Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don't off mind. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us, call them hate speech. But fear not, Maiyegun don't come. He go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun diary Politico, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. Can in the touchlight every corner, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Sure. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. See them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun diary Politico, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. This one not they off in mind, oh, yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Maiyegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Maiyegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Poor man picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we not talk. But thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh yo yo. My people make you shout, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh yo yo. Maiyegun diary Politico, oh yo yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh yo yo. This man not the off in mind, oh yo yo. Maiyegun la wa mo la mo do. Maiyegun diary, Maiyegun number one. Maiyegun la wa mo la mo do.
Hello there.
Maiyegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ara yìí. Maiyegun diary, Maiyegun number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Maiyegun diary.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Maiyegun live. Please share the broadcast. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends and tell them that Maiyegun today. Maiyegun lawamo dodo. Maiyegun diary. Thank you. Ani esuraki. Maiyegun ti dé. Maiyegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú esuraki. Maiyegun ti dé. Ani esuraki. Maiyegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Maiyegun ti dé. Ani esuraki. Maiyegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Maiyegun ti dé. Ani esuraki. Maiyegun ti dé.
Mr. President, welcome. And I've been a student of Nigeria for many years, and first of all, I want to tell you that I have never seen such a hopeful attitude toward Nigeria and the United States as since your election. So I think we all here want you to succeed. My question relates to another area of Nigeria that hasn't gotten much attention during this trip, and that is the Niger Delta. It's a challenge that you're going to face. I wonder if you would tell us how you intend to approach it with particular reference to the amnesty, bunkering, and inclusive development. Thank you.
Inclusive government. Inclusive government. You know, how we include, women, youth.
I see. Yes. I hope you have a copy of the election results. Naturally, constituencies, for example, that gave me 97%, cannot, in all honesty, be treated on some issues with constituencies that gave me 5%. I think this is a political reality. While certainly there will be justice for everybody, everybody will get his constitutional right. But where the party in constituencies where they either share hard work, they made sure that they got their people to vote and to ensure their vote count. They must feel that the government has appreciated the effort they put in putting the government in place. I think that's really fair.
Share the broadcast. We haven't started. It is going to be an interesting night indeed. While we wait for others, the man that just spoke there is the president of Nigeria. Now, another man who had been the president of Nigeria as well had this to say. Share the broadcast.
1999, the election. The Yorubas, who will probably, it depends on how you look at it, they will be either the second largest tribe in Nigeria, or depending how, if you take Hausa, Fulani, you separate them, Hausa separate and Fulani separate, the Yorubas might even be the largest tribe in Nigeria. They didn't vote for me. And immediately after I took over government, I called some members of my government. I said, look, the Yorubas didn't vote for us. Let us see what we can do. I didn't say that because they didn't vote for me, the type of statement that President Buhari made when after the 2015 election, and he said only those who voted for him will enjoy patronage. Now, that immediately put the back of some people up. Now, and then there are at least two zones who did not vote for him. South did not vote for him. Southeast did not vote for him. And anything he does, they see it, oh, he has said those who did not vote for him will not enjoy patronage. So you divide them. You made it they and we straight away. I wouldn't do that. That is specific. Then when you have a situation where your own tribe is being accused of something, now you must be able to look into it and make it transparently clear that that accusation is unfounded, or if it's founded, you deal with it. There had been, well, herdsmen, farmers Now, herdsmen are mainly Fulanis. Nothing has been done. Rather than doing something about it, what we are having is, okay, we will create colonies.
Before I descend fully on the subject matter tonight, I would like to take you a bit down the memory lane again. Like, tell them.
Major talks about killing your premier. Add on top of that the North's general hate of the East, and you can start to get the picture of the sort of tribal tension Nigeria was heading towards.
One thing I've noticed, Premier, while I've been here, is that Northerners seem to have, I might almost call it, obsession about the Igbos. Could you perhaps explain that to me?
Well, the Igbos are more or less the type of people whose desire is mainly to dominate everybody. If they go to a village, to a town, they want to monopolize everything in that area. If you put them in a labor camp as a laborer, within a year they will try to emerge as headman of that camp, and so on. Well, in the past, our people were not alive to their responsibilities, because you can see from our northernization policy that in 1952, when I came here, there weren't 10 northerners in our civil service here. Then I tried to have it northernized, and now all important posts are being held by northerners.
Is this policy of filling all key posts in the north solely with northerners and not with other Nigerians a temporary or a permanent one?
In actual fact, what it is a northerner first. If you can't get a northerner, then we take an expatriate like yourself on contract. If we can't, then we can employ another Nigerian, but on contract too. This is going to be permanent, I should say, as far as I can foresee, because it will be rather dangerous to see the number of boys who are now turning from all our learning institutions, coming out with having no work to do. I'm sure whichever government of the day might be, it will feel rather embarrassed, and it might even lead to bloodshed.
Doesn't this damage the idea, sir, of all people in all regions in Nigeria being fellow citizens of one country?
Well, it might, but you are, new to our region, but how many northerners are employed in the east or in the west? The answer is no.
You got that? Thank you, and good evening to you, good morning to you, and good afternoon. Oh, I've got a flag here. And good afternoon to you from wherever you're watching from. This is Maiyegun live. So I'm going to start with the trending topic, the passing of Her Majesty, the Queen of England, which has now brought to fore the rage, the anger of what the British Empire did to everywhere called their empire, especially the descendants of all the atrocities committed by the British government or the British crown, as you will put it. But tonight, I am not here to judge your reaction. You know why? Part of what they call the freedom of speech and freedom of expression is when you are able to express yourself exactly how you feel. Sometimes this will bring some backlashes. However, tonight, I am not here to judge how you feel towards what you know about the atrocities or the good sides of the British rule. I'm going to be pointing out some things to back up some of my narrative tonight. But my bigger question is, can we really blame colonialism on our stagnation as a people? Now, that's a big question that people would say yes, because without the British rule, there probably couldn't be the world that we have today, it could have been totally different, and they will be right. Why? Look at me, a Yoruba boy, a Yoruba man, having to speak to you in English language. Before you can even understand me, even if I'm not so good in the language or what have you, right? I may not be so perfect, but I'm a Yoruba man. But the effect of the British rule, right, has its own impact on myself and what I'm doing right now. You know that. So people will argue that, which is true. However, 62 years after that, can we still always blame them too, or blame our stagnation on what ended 62 years ago? There are those called the Neocolonists or Neocolonialists. Neocolonialists are those described as your leaders, your preachers, and everyone who has done their part to instill the Western value, English value, in many of us who came from what they call the British colony. The story of how those colonies were conquered, how those colonies were depleted, looted, and how the people there who resisted them were slaughtered, our own ancestors. The story is similar from Africa, from West Africa to East Africa, to North Africa, to South Africa, across the continent, then from there to other continents, to Australia, to America, to to Canada, including their neighbors here, the Irish. Everyone felt the pang of the British rule that some of you are indeed professing your disdain for today. There were many, many countries. In fact, then this ended at some point for some people. China was also colonized, right? And afterward, some people never recovered. And others have even surpassed even the Great Britain herself in what they have made of their own self-rule. So, as a Nigerian watching me right now, because I remember that growing up, I was somehow fed with the damages done to our ancestors by my own uncles, who are historians, like they will tell you stories of what happened then. And then here I am. I am here as also probably having to whinge and then, to whine and whine and whine about what ended 62 years ago. Then maybe my own children too, in another 100 years, as long as we are continually trapped in this contraption on its own. So they will have to also blame slavery, colonialism for the poverty that they have. They have to inherit. The ones many of us are inheriting now are multiplying. Neocolonists. Before they gave Africa, for example, what is now known as bogus independence, right? The purpose for the British, the only British interest in Africa was to deplete the continent as much as wherever they can get. But they didn't do it by themselves only. They had those who were handling those authority for them at the time, and they sustained them and helped the resistance, helped them against the resistance as well. So when they left, they left physically, but they replicated their own, which many of you today, in our hypocrisy, we look beyond them. When they loot us and they take their loot down to the West to buy properties or invest in their economy, remember, they used to come down to take them themselves, turn our people into cheap and free labor to run their countries, of course. But today, after they left decades ago, those who they left, those you probably call leaders, the ones you love to defend, the ones you call your heroes, many of them you printed on your currencies. When the colonialists left, the neocolonists took over that speak the same language like me, like you. What were they doing? They were depleting the land and taking the proceeds of their own loot to their former colonists. And some of you are angry for that too. I mean, they are the ones protecting them. What would you want them to do? For example, if Americans, as corrupt as they are, yeah, if American politicians are looting those billions you read about, right? America gave Ukraine 300 billion worth of weapons and all of that stuff, yeah? Let's assume that they are like the African leaders, past and present as well, yeah? And they decide to start bringing those billions down to Africa. Would you have, in all honesty, sincerity, after colonization as well, would you, in all honesty, genuinely start pushing those loot back to them and say, no, your politicians brought this? Well, that's not where I'm going. I want you to reflect, okay? I want you to be angry because it is all right. I want you to express your displeasure, your disdain as you wish. But at the same time, I want us to also reflect, because if you don't, and you probably joined the mob and concentrated on being a victim, that even the criminals who have taken over, who have been in charge of Africa for decades, would want you to blame for why there is no electricity, why there is no good medical, facilities or medical system anywhere, right? So as much as they want to, I want you to reflect, because if you don't, your own children in 50 years' time, they are going to experience the worst, the worst of the worst of poverty, especially in Nigeria. With the crop of criminals you have here, yeah? Your own children in 50 years' time, and they will be fed with what you are fed with. The reasons why they are poor is because they were once colonized. They were once enslaved, and that is why they couldn't really grow. But that is not totally true. If we must be honest, we were not the only people colonized. We were not the only ones. And after the atrocity, in fact, hang on, there were also those who were also not just really angry with the colonialism, the slavery. They have more reasons to despise the West, put it that way, because that's what it has become, right? In what they call, or in what we have known as the new, what's it called? Is it called the world order, where many countries who disagreed with what the United Kingdom, United States, and the rest of them that we call the West, whatever position they take, and they eventually are interested in your resources, how they have invaded other, I get how they have overthrown government all over the world for their what? For their what? For their own economic interest, nothing else. But what about those who actually made those things happen? They were those who helped them to keep us down. And as much as we can be very angry, those people still live with us today. They are called heroes. In Kenya, in what we have on record as the Mau Mau massacre, the British atrocity recorded there, right, had a segregation kind of order, where they said the fertile land in Kenya should be only owned and occupied by the white people, while the rest should be given to the Kenyans. In order to maintain that, they built concentration camps. Concentration camps where Kenyans were locked up and subjected to the worst of the worst you can think of. And in Kenya, you see what you now see today as a visa to go to anywhere in the world, they introduced that same kind of access card in Kenya for Kenyans in their own land before they can move from one place to another. That was what led to that Mau Mau riot and the massacre where thousands of Kenyans were slaughtered. So do you think I can tell Kenyans to love Britain? Yeah? No. But since the British left, the Kenyans can point to families, right, who have benefited from the pillage of the land politically, economically, and every other way. While majority of Kenyans today are indeed looking elsewhere other than Kenya. Well, I won't say majority, but many Kenyans today are more attracted to outside Kenya than what? Why? Because of what those who succeeded the British. They are not colonists, right? With what they have done with Kenya. But same thing with South Africa. Yeah, South Africa as well. But when you touch these two places and you come down west of Africa, where I come from, where people were only forced together for the economic reasons only, nothing about building a nation and the rest of that, even though they did try to leave a template that could make Nigeria, a republic where everyone is in charge of their own affair. But they left physically, but it didn't leave us. The Biafrans, who became the victim of the economic, or let's say oil war, that was only beneficial to the British government or the British people way back in 67 to 70. They will never have to be, spoken kind words to or pacified to ignore the effects of Britain in killing over 5 million Biafrans in Nigeria. Same thing for so many people who I have read about. Look at it. The Irish, they are not black. They are white people too. Abi, they have their history with the British as well. But guess one thing? In Nigeria, there's one interest that British had in Nigeria in the 60s. And that interest, when I went back into the history proper, I realized that it was made possible, the killings of the Biafrans, Nigerians, supposed Nigerians in Nigeria, to keep Nigeria together, right, was pretty much facilitated by the same neocolonists. Gowon is still alive. But Britain supervised, or should I say, helped Nigeria, not just Britain, including USSR, Russia. They helped in slaughtering millions of people in Nigeria. When you ask for what reason, it was for oil. 84% of Nigeria oil was being taken straight. Was being exploited then or extracted by 2 British oil companies. And 30% of the oil production from Nigeria was coming down to Britain. So when Nigeria gained independence, and then the war looms that indeed Nigeria was about to break up to either 2 or 3 countries or more. So what happened? Britain pushed what they called their own interest. Guess where their interest was? Eastern Nigeria. The Eastern Nigeria is what is today's is the Biafra. Now they've divided it further politically for the same interest, right? You know what the British did? When the war was about to start, they were comfortable with the Biafrans. Yes, they were. Ojukwu and the rest, were being paid the royalty from the oil extraction from Eastern Nigeria. Do you know how the table turned? I'm talking about the economic interest that saw the lives of millions of people. These are the atrocities, right? The reason why the table turned was because the Nigerian government decided to give what they call the oil blockade. So whatever is extracted from the eastern Nigeria could not pass through the waterways controlled by Nigerian government at the time and British government under Harold Wilson at the time, including this queen that just passed. We knew then that they say Queen of England is ceremonial, but when we grew up, some of us, well, maybe not all of us, realized or understood better what that ceremonial actually means when we eventually understood what politics or international politics that actually played out. I'll come back to that, right? Britain kept quiet for the first year of the war. British oil companies were partly paying royalties to the Biafran government at the time, but the British companies, at some point, they couldn't take their oil out anymore. So they had a deal that Gowon only made, and that was the royalty they were paying to the Biafran government must no longer be paid to them. It must be paid to the Nigerian government, led by Gowon. Yeah? And that was how the table turned to the side of Nigeria. So protecting the oil production in Niger Delta, in the eastern Nigeria at the time, they had to supply weapons to Nigeria that killed millions of people. But guess what? Yeah? Millions more have been slaughtered and killed on different disguised communal, genocide after the 1970 Nigerian war. And to this day, guess those who are perpetrating that too? They were supposed to be Nigerians too. So when you say they contributed to what we have become, I can partly agree, but I won't totally for this reason. Those who took over from them, like I've mentioned so far, they have been people who have been most, tribalistic, religious, fanatics, those who want to kill themselves or kill those who were supposed to be their countrymen at any given or slightest opportunity, especially if they have the power to do that unchallenged. And you can then say, but what did Britain do to then help break us up? That is one other kind of not straightforward, should I say ignorant question that people do ask. No apologies, because you may probably take an offense somehow based on what you know, which may be better than mine. And I agree. But look at it this way. When the Eastern Nigeria, under the leadership of Odumegwu Ojukwu, right, declared for Biafra, there was law and order enough that many other countries like that identified with the authority of that Biafra. And law and order started breaking down when what was meant to be the lifeline of that government was indeed blocked. That was the deal that I'm talking about, the oil war. Biafra lost the war. And the spoil of the land was shared by those who helped Nigeria. But guess what other things that is missing? And that is today, for example, today, or should I put it like this? Let's say the last 22, 23 years, when people have been able to at least participate or understand what it means to be in charge of their own affairs. And for these 23 years, the people who have been in charge of what was then the reason for Nigeria war, the oil war in Niger Delta, they have used their participation in the Nigeria project, right, to further subject their people to the weakest and the weakest that they can become in order never to have the strength that possibly their forebearers had when the British were around. What do I mean by that? Trillions and trillions and trillions of naira have been pocketed, right, by the people who have been in charge of Nigeria. Families have built dynasties over your own, they have built a fortune over your own inheritances. And Niger Delta is an example. Well, everywhere, by the way. None of them from the north to the west to east or south or wherever you want to say you come from in Nigeria, and those who have been in charge of your affair in the last 23 years, none of them has ever or is currently fighting for this inequality, so to say. None of them. They are comfortable with how Nigeria is. You guess those who are not comfortable? Me and you, that they are milking. Canada was colonized. And today, you know what Canada is? China was colonized by the British as well. Today, China is one of the world powers. You know that. Korea was colonized by these people. Yeah? And guess what? You know what they are today as well. Singapore. Yes. Well, United States as well, which is the world power, so to say. You know where they are. The only people never really touched by the British. This is a small island that is that their influence spread to almost half of the world. The rest of the world are moving on. Today they are moving on. But you and I in Nigeria, what are we doing? We are blaming colonialists for the reasons why we can't educate our children, right? We will blame the Queen of England, the reasons why the Igbo politicians have been watching the young, the old Igbos, right? Men and women being slaughtered by the agent of Nigeria. As long as they are benefiting, they can keep quiet. Yoruba politicians are in bed with the Project Nigeria, even when at least we cannot afford to give real medical service or good health care for our own people, right? In this 21st century. They looted all our artifacts. I agree. There's a restitution to be paid. But who is asking? The same people who are now tying rope all around our necks, economically ruining us, right? Destroying us, young people, old people, destroying us enough that, they are holding us as rams to the same colonial masters who left years ago. And here I am. I have to blame them. That is where I disagree. Do you get that now? If I say something, if you look at people who, if you are from Nigeria, for example, if you look at the people who really don't like Maiyegun's diary, who passionately don't like me, they don't like me because I did anything wrong. They don't like me simply because I call out the people they worship, the same people who are friends with their colonial masters, as you will put it. Someone said that two truths can, stand, which I agree, if you can remove the hypocrisy behind the two truths. The first one is that whatever we are facing today, they are our own making. And when we want to be honest, or let's say if we have to be sincere with ourselves, like we really want to progress, we'll begin to look inward. Yeah, they created Nigeria. But do you think if those in Nigeria says they don't want Nigeria anymore, all of them will not stand like vultures again to take sides from the record, I have something I'm going to read to you from the record, yeah, from the Biafran War. Initially, Britain thought Biafrans were going to actually win the war. So because of that, they allowed their company to continue to pay oil royalty to Ojukwu's government, which helped for a while, by the way. Yeah? Until what I said happened. And they felt like, well, if those the Biafrans are going to be friends with ended up having to control the oil, then they will be the loser. I mean, they will be the loser of the rest of that. So they switch side. I'll read this to you, just for the optic side, to let you see how the mind of these people actually works, and how the mind of those who are helping them, or should I say, who are ruining Africa, ruining everywhere, yeah, and at the same time running behind the curtains and say the colonialists who stole everything from us caused all of this. They are extracting gold in Elisha. I mean, so they're extracting gold in Osun State right now. God knows how many tons of that they have extracted already. They have been extracting gold from Zamfara and so many other locations across Nigeria that nobody knows. Chinese are extracting gold there all over the place, yeah? But guess what? We can still blame the colonialists for why we are where we are. But I want to read this part just to understand their mindset, so to say. They said within, this is how Britain got involved, right? Let me see if I still have that on my screen. One sec. So they said that Britain at the admin had planned to maintain and expand its supply of cheap, high-quality oil from Nigeria. Therefore, it placed a high priority on maintenance of oil extraction and refining operations. The war broke out just a week before the Six-Day War in the Middle East led to the Suez Canal being blocked, forcing oil tankers from the Middle East to use the long route around the Cape of Good Hope, thereby increasing the cost of Middle Eastern oil. In turn, this increased the importance of Nigeria oil to Britain because Nigerian oil was cheaper than Persian Gulf oil. Initially, when it was unclear which side would prevail, Britain took a wait and see. Listen to this, a wait and see approach before deciding decisively for Nigeria. Mind you, this is it all. Biafra had a chance of defeating Nigeria, the entire Nigeria. That's what the history said. Until somebody advised Gowon to join in the blockade of blocking oil tankers from leaving the water of Nigeria, which contributed more to the British frustration. So they had to switch side. Wait for it. They said Nigeria had a navy of only 6 vessels, the largest of which was a frigate, an air force of 76 planes, none of which were fighters or bombers, and an army of 7,000 soldiers. That's the entire army of Nigeria. When Biafra at the time was boasting of over 50,000 volunteers army. So they could defeat Nigeria so peacefully, so conveniently. But wait for it. Though Biafra was likewise similarly weak, they didn't have so much weapon, but they have people. They said the two sides, these two sides appear evenly matched at the beginning of the war. Okay? And Nigerian victory was by no means considered probable. Like even British, when they did all the calculation, Nigeria was the country. But you know why? I'll tell you why. The reason was because the independence they gave to Nigeria, Eastern Nigeria was independence on its own. Western Nigeria was independence on its own. Northern Nigeria was independence on its own. They now have what they call a unicameral legislature, like a parliament, where everybody comes from everywhere. You see, the people who were lucky when they discovered oil were the Biafrans, the authority, the independent eastern region of Nigeria. But Nigeria as a whole, agree that the proceeds from the oil, they will be sharing it. Do you get that now? The royalty from it. That sharing of that royalty means the Biafrans, Ojukwu and the Easterners, they were going to keep the largest chunk of the money. Nigeria will take some because everybody get their own thing. Northern Nigeria was agricultural land. They were growing food, rearing, husbandry and all of that. Everybody get their own thing. In Western Nigeria, we're into agriculture, all that. We had television before France. No wonder when the war started, France supported Biafra. You know why? Because Biafra had oil. Nigeria couldn't match for that, but that's not where I'm going. The interest of Britain here now is not for one Nigeria. It is for the oil. You know it, I know it. How far has that taken us? What is the interest of the owners of Nigeria? This is how their interest started building up. Okay? They said Britain backed the government of Nigeria, but when the war broke out, they cautioned them not. This is where they started getting interested. Though. When the war broke out, they cautioned Nigeria not to destroy oil installation because they were installed by the British. Okay? So, however, they said do not damage British oil installations in the East. These oil workers, under the control of the Shell BP Petroleum Development Company, jointly owned by Shell and British Petroleum, controlled 84% of Nigeria's 580,000 barrels. Yeah? At the time. So per day, 2/3 of this oil came from the eastern region and another third from the newly created Midwestern region. 2/5 of all Nigerian oil ended up in Britain. That is, as at 1967, 30% of Nigeria oil ended up in Britain. Now, Shell therefore considered carefully. Give me a sec. Thanks, Felicia. Now, Shell BP therefore considered carefully a request by the government of Nigeria that it refused to pay the royalties demanded by Biafra. His lawyers advised that payment to Biafra would be appropriate if this government did in fact maintain law and order in the region in question. The British government advised that paying Biafra could undermine the goodwill of the federal government, then Shell BP made the payment and the government established a blockade on oil exports. Listen to this. They advised Shell not to pay Biafra. Don't pay them. Now we get the money. Send the money to us. You know what I mean? Now, Shell refused. So they paid the Biafrans. Nigeria did what they call the oil blockade. Now, this is how that happened. They established a blockade on oil exports. So you need to move the oil down to the bigger sea, mostly controlled by Nigeria at the time, before you can leave. So they ban it, so you can't take oil out of Nigeria. That forced, which forced the British government to choose side. Shell BP and the British government threw in their lot with the government in Lagos, apparently calculating that this side would be more likely to win the war. As the British High Commissioner in Lagos wrote to the Secretary of State for Commonwealth Affairs on the 27th of July, 1967, right, in quote, said, Ojukwu, even victorious, this is the advice of the commissioner, British commissioner in Lagos, right? He said, Ojukwu, even victorious, will not be in a strong position. It will require all the international help and recognition it can get. The federal government will be much better placed, both internationally and internally. They would have a cast iron case for the severest treatment of a company which has subsidized a rebel. They called the Biafrans rebel at the time, And I feel fairly convinced they would press their case to the length of cancelling the company's concessions and nationalizing their installations. I conclude, therefore, if the company does change its mind and ask the British government for advice, the best that could be given is for it to clamber hastily back on the Lagos side of the fence with checkbook at the ready. That was the advice of the commissioner, British commissioner. He was the one who then advised the British company in Nigeria that if you are going to Lagos, let's say these people are going to press further, they have a chance, a better chance than this Ojuku. So if you are going to see them, please go with a checkbook. That was what changed the war. Shelby P took the advice. It continued quietly to support Nigeria through the rest of the war. In one case, advancing a royalty of £5.5 million to fund the purchase of more British weapons. Now, this is what now happened. Nigeria was giving Britain free oil, okay? So they will write what do you call it on it? They will give back to Nigeria weapons to fight the Biafrans. So you see where, if you see any Biafran that is expressing displeasure in the involvement of the British and then the USSR, because you need to know, Russia also participated and they gave Nigeria even more weapons too in return for oil. Yeah. Anyway, the British part. So it was not until federal government forces captured the ocean oil terminal at Bonny on 25th July 1967 that the British Prime Minister, Harold Wilson, decided to back Nigeria with military aid. Now, Nigeria has captured an oil field in the territory controlled by Biafra. Now, okay, we'll give them military weapons like they did in Iraq and the rest. Well, I'm not going there yet, right? Harold Wilson, the Prime Minister, decided to back Nigeria with military aid. After the federal victory at Bonny, Wilson summoned David Hunt, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, for a meeting at number 10 Downing Street in early August 1967 for his assessment of the situation. Hunt's view that the federal forces were the better organized and would win because they could draw upon a greater population led Wilson to side with Nigeria. Now, Wilson, not Elizabeth, for the educational purposes, please. Wilson. So, during the war, Britain covertly supplied Nigeria with weapons and military intelligence and may have also helped it to hire mercenaries. Remember, Nigeria they no get soldiers that could really fight, okay, a real war, seriously. So they had to hire mercenaries, give them intel, give them weapons, give them trainings, and the war lasted 3 years until the Biafrans surrendered because they decided to starve millions of children and women who actually, like millions actually died of starvation, not because of the power and the gun, the gun power of Nigeria, Britain, or Russia. It was another thing, right? Coming. So they said that first, they supplied Nigeria government 2 new vessels, 60 vehicles. So in Britain, the humanitarian campaign around Biafra began on 12th of June 1968 with media coverage on ITV and in The Sun. The charities, Oxfam and Save the Children, were soon deployed, the large sum of money at their disposal, right? Meanwhile, France, on the other side, France provided weapons, mercenary fighters, and other assistance to Biafra and promoted its cause internationally, describing the situation as a genocide. President Charles de Gaulle referred to Biafra's just and noble cause. He said Biafra is a just and noble cause. However, France did not recognize Biafra as a country, okay, or diplomatically. Through Pierre Loret, France had apparently provided 2 B-26 Alotis helicopters and pilots for Biafrans. France supplied Biafra with captured German and Italian weapons from World War II. Sans serial numbers delivered as part of a regular shipment to Cote d'Ivoire. France also sold armored vehicles to the Nigerian government. So France, hang on, French involvement in the war can be viewed in the context of its geopolitical strategy. Franc-Afrique, which is the Francophone, the African countries that speak French. Now, and competition with the British in West Africa. So Nigeria represented a base of British influence in the predominantly French-aligned area. France and Portugal used nearby territories in their spheres of influence, especially Cote d'Ivoire under President Felix Houphouët-Boigny. Now, talking about the interest of the people at the time. One moment. Right? We could tell what choices people made at the time, and then when they said, okay, it's over, and the choices people have been making afterward, and the effect of all those choices it's not in contrast, right, to what they are going to tell you, the atrocities being committed by those they want us to blame for why we are where we are today. I said something about China being colonized after 150 years, right? And China gained their own independence that way, that today they didn't just become world power. They kept everything that has become the world cherished heritage and respected, valued by even those who colonized them or were once so powerful. Because why? They kept their language, they kept their culture, they kept their tradition. And fair enough, in Nigeria, we have those who actually taught us history, not because they wanted us to be liberated, but they just wanted us to be humbled by them, remain humbled by them, and continue to be led by our noses, even when we are suffering the consequences of their own immediate actions. Poverty is now a thing that people pray against in Nigeria. We want to hate those who colonized our forebearers, but we want to fight and defend the neocolonists, the imperialists. You see, the people who were supposed to keep us safe from those who did the worst they want us to remember to our own forebearers. But look at what they are doing to us today. Look at what they are doing to us today. For example, I'm a Nigerian. I'm from Nigeria, Abi. Now, being from Nigeria then means that for 62 years, the only thing that I can actually be associated with as a Nigerian is the toga definition of a citizen of a third world country that you must be very, very careful of. Not just that deserves to be pitied, to be loved, to be cared for, because look at him, he is an African. Imagine what they've been through. Imagine what they are going through right now. Imagine, look at them. Look at what their own leaders are doing to them. Look at what they are doing to themselves. So when you see one out of 1 million, you can easily tell if he's outstanding, if she's outstanding, people that deserve to be pitied. That's exactly what those who took over Africa after the colonists left, that's exactly what they have made of us. Look at us. Virtue signaling. They call something virtue signaling. People wanted to sound like they are woke. Some people are quite defending what is not defendable. That's why I said you are free to express how you feel, but you can also take this moment to reflect as well. Other people who got colonized today, even Britain, can look them in the eyes. But look at us. Look at what they have made of us. Can we put all the blames on them? Oh, they are the ones that always support our leaders. Are you really sure that statement is completely true? Do you know how many of you that actually went out in Nigeria in 2011 to slaughter your fellow human beings simply because Buhari lost election? Do you know how many of you, if you probably didn't participate, were you not among those who probably justified those? Yes, they rigged them out. Or more. We're told that over 400 human beings were slaughtered because Buhari lost election. Now, fast forward to 4 years later, Buhari won an election. Then fast forward again to 7 years later, Nigeria is at the verge of collapsing, dividing, and breaking up. Possibility of another civil war. Now, look at it that way. Can you look around and say the hatred you have for one another, the greed you have for one another, the corruption that is ingrained in you, the selfishness and self-centeredness in you, the hypocrisy in you, could you really say they are all implanted in you by the colonialists? I would disagree right there as well. People are convenient in blaming everyone for what they have become or what they brought upon themselves as well. Many of you are ready to kill or are even killing for politicians today. Not physically, some of you are doing a lot of damages to other people in the name of defending the politicians that you called honorable men and women. When the country they have left for you is what you have now, a total shithole that they said you should be proud of. And if you're not proud of the land, remember, it could have been better if you were never colonized. It could have been better if your forebearers were not enslaved. But 62 years after that, look at us. Look at us. As you are pointing that one finger, I want you to reflect more. People said people deserve what, or they deserve the leadership that they get. And if you are from Nigeria, it is the textbook definition of what we have become. Many Nigerians today are enjoying what you can call real free speech. And then they are enjoying this from thousands of miles away from Nigeria, where they should have felt at home, where you should normally feel at home. People are being exiled because tyrants that so many of you worship are in charge. Economy that have been looted, ruined, are being controlled by the same people that are asking you to pray and pray. So how long do you think we should blame our stagnation on the colonists or the Queen or the British or the rest of them that have now built what the world you have today, when you are not actually looking inward? If you look around yourself today and you meet a Biafran, a genuine Biafran, who wanted the Biafra as far back as 50 years ago. So if you want to give him anything right now, it will take it right now and it will be Biafra, right? Some have bled for this. But when you look at those who have been at the rock bottom, so to say, as the foundation for the denial or rejection of the actualization of a Biafra, you will see majorly they are also Biafrans too. Yes, there is nobody that can shave your head in your absence. Even if you are dead, they still have to shave it while you are there. Yes, your body will be there. if the people who want something are in the majority, but the minority, with the help of those who are milking the land, are working day and night to tell you Biafra is not the solution. Listen to them. When they say that, they mean it. If you are looking for those against Biafra, just take a look at the mirror. You are going to see, indeed, before any other person is like, then so be it, no Biafra. And the same thing is happening in Yoruba land. It is not British, or say it's not Britain, it's not America, it's not Russia, it's not what else? If they ask who are those who are more opposed to Yoruba nation today, you will see then that they are majorly Yorubas as well. And if you then go and look at what is the underbelly, what exactly is the reasons why these people will spend anything, they will do anything to ensure that if you are untangling your own ethnic nationality from this unitary system, they will continue to retighten it back, including if they have to bleed you. Somebody said, without the United States, without the UK, the corrupt people in Nigeria can never stand. That is one of the most popular ignorant saying I have heard. No apologies as well. Oh. Sorry if probably if you feel bad for me saying that. The politicians in Nigeria and the people who are protecting them, yeah, they are not British. They are not Americans. The state structure that is currently spying on you, the citizens, the one that is running many of you out of town, the ones that is ordering the killing and massacring of the people, yeah, all of them are controlled not by America or the UK. They are controlled by the people whose interest is being threatened by your demand. That's why I said, yeah, when you look beyond that and you look at interests, you may say, why is America not doing something? Why is London not doing something? Now, that's a big question. The other question is, why are many of you that you know in Nigeria protecting them too? Because the only way you can point fingers at America or the UK in this instance is when you chase them. Genuinely, let's say you chase them and you run them out of town, which we all see that is near impossible until it happens, Abi. And then they run away like so many other dictators all over the world, and their families and their friends, all of them ran away when the revolution swept through their countries, and they run to the same West, and they are given sanctuary. Now you have a point there. Today, there are 1,000, or let me say 100,001 ready Nigerians who are ready to kill you, attack you, pieces you to whatever they can pieces you to for the sake of Tifnumbu, and they are not Americans. Those are those protecting your politicians. Yeah, they are those. And your own politicians are protecting the interest of what America and the rest of them are picking from Nigeria. That's why I said, do not point your fingers at them, right? And then forget that the remaining 4 are actually pointing to you, where you have one way or the other choosing your own oppressors to defend and support. You know, Nigerians, you love your oppressors differently. Be honest. Whether they are from your tribe, they are from your religion, they are from your this or that, you love your own oppressors differently, and you are their protectors. There are 100,001 of you that are ready to kill the Igbos, simply because of their defense of Bokwari, true or false. They are not Americans. Buhari doesn't have to, Buhari doesn't need America or UK. None of your politicians need them. Do you know that? So it's one of the ignorant saying that if they are not the ones backing them, what do you mean backing them? When majority of you are indeed defending them at your own convenient time. That is where the hypocrisy is. That is where it is. Listen again, I am not saying you shouldn't blame them as much as you want to. Again, I said, express yourselves as you wish, but don't pass ignorance for facts by ignoring what is so obvious, simply because it is convenient to do so. The question, the real thing is that if you believe in that, in 50 years' time, your children, they will be older, aged, and they will be pointing at slavery too. And by around that time, you will be long gone. Like probably your own forebearers, like my own great-grandparents who are long gone. They probably experienced the colonialism more than myself. So they had the experience. So they blamed their slow development on that. Agreed. 62 years after that, my brothers, it is not UK and America protecting your leaders. You are the ones protecting them. And you defend them based on anything that you can pick on. We kill ourselves because we want to show that we are right, they are wrong. Or that's how they do all the time. And your political leaders from the word go have always been like that. I am asking you to reflect on that. Who contributed to our stagnation? Who brought us to this stagnation? There are no other people than you and myself, are people. Remember that. Just remember that. That's why they said that truth can coexist, but do not feel so comfortable to point that finger and say it is the UK and America that is defending them. It is more than that. What? They are providing the reasons. If they signal it and they see it out there, that you are done, indeed, they will take side. That's the point I want you to know. They would take sides. But we have now grown the generation of people who love to play victims. I think that's what we are now. It's so convenient to play victims. Do you know what they did to us? I know. But do you know what you are doing to yourself too? Right now, watching me right now, in that your own living room, wherever you are right now. Yeah. Do you know what you have contributed into doing to yourselves? And the only way you could probably just excuse it away is to blame them for not doing anything. What have you done? You want one Nigeria. Under what terms and conditions? Under what arrangements? Under what definition? You don't know. No, you don't. But you want it anyway. You don't. So I'm not asking you to ignore colonialism. I can't. Everybody's going to react to it the same way. Or let me say rather differently. Because the experience, right, is always going to be different. But right now, what you said they did 60 years ago, 70 years ago, or 50 years ago, those who were supposed to make us forget them, to some extent, they have now done worse. Worse. That some of you would not really love to admit to. I think I should always let you remember that, because the consequences of everything is still real. The imperialism, that's what some people have said. Maiyegun, you don't understand. They control the global this. They control this and that. You cannot do anything. I said, listen, we know that. They were controlling everything before China emerged. Today, look at China. I mean, take a look at them. As a Nigerian right now watching me, or maybe as an African watching me right now, We may have a different kind of reality, by the way, okay? But somehow our reality could always be similar too, to some extent. Look at me very well. After the colonization, what are we? We as a country they created, as you said, right? What are we offering the rest of the world right now that if we stop giving it to them, the whole world would have to shut down? Do you have one? Any part of Africa? Any part of Africa? I haven't traveled to many African countries, so to say. I have read a lot about many African countries. Do you know of anything that we currently offer the world, that we control, that once we stop offering the rest of the world is going to shut down? Do you? Well, I don't know of anything because we barely control nothing. Why? I'll tell you. For 60 years, the political leaders in Africa, in Nigeria, they were so eager, happy to play the imperialist puppets. So, if you want to blame the imperialist and you are doing Heroes Day for the imperialist puppets, your heroes, the people you have built monuments for, who indeed helped coordinate. Well, we do have heroes in Africa who resisted them and they paid with their lives. I think we shouldn't ignore them too. But guess what? Those who replaced them eventually did the job. They never appointed any governor general for Africa anymore. You started choosing them. When we started choosing them, 60 years after that, we have created families with empires, billionaires without anything at all because they were once in charge of our own Commonwealth all across Africa. Families who have now become and when the majority became more impoverished, you worship them. They give you glowing and glorious and flowery speeches. They write books. They write stories, histories that glorified criminals in different African countries. And the rest of Africa continue to be subjected to that. No. I mean, I'm just saying, we've produced nothing. We've offered nothing. We've not pushed back enough to show that we indeed wanted that. They were eager and happy to take weapons to fight their clansmen, tribesmen, ethnic others in different countries created by these people. So we used decades to fight supremacy with weapons provided by our colonists. But guess those who made those calls? They were those who claimed to love your country. They love Africa. They love Nigeria. I pledge to Nigeria, my country. They took more than 50 million worth of weapons from United Kingdom, as well as from the USSR, to slaughter over 500 million people in Nigeria. Now, make that make sense to me. Okay? So this is what I'm saying. You can point to those fingers. There's nothing wrong in them, okay? Because mostly what you're going to say are always going to be right. But please, please, stop repeating what the criminal politicians in the past and present, they are historians, they are journalists who have written so many articles to put all this nonsense in your brain, in your head. That nonsense is that it is the reasons why we are still poor 60 years after we gained independence was because UK, America, the rest of the world, they wanted us to remain poor. Stop lying to yourselves, please. Point it at those you worship and you will kill for. The criminals who are unable to build healthcare, build, education system, sustain it. Rather, they will send their own wards, their families, to go to the same Western world to enjoy what they have denied you. When they sell your resources and turn your resources to anything money, what do they do with that? They export the money out of your country and different countries. They live this luxurious life. Even when they live in that same country with you, everything they use, when they buy themselves their clothes, it has to be imported from these colonial masters. When they want to build their homes, the furnitures, everything they put in are all imported from these colonial masters and their countries, right? Now, when they want to, live their luxurious life of, oh yeah, I'm the president, the automobiles is all imported from the same colonialist countries, right? Now, they have this flair for the latest aircraft in Africa. There are people who live in poverty that they created, and they would love to fly over those poverty they created. And guess what? They also have to get this from the colonial masters countries. And sadly so, whenever they now have to come to public, they get to be worshipped by the people they made poorer. And they point fingers. They said, look at these people. They are the one taking all the money we loot from you. I blame America, but they continue to loot and bring them over. But you are angry. Why is America not sending it back? The reason why America, or the reasons why United Kingdom is not sending back the money they stole from you and everything they have stolen from you, is because they used to come down there to take them themselves. Now, your own criminal leaders now take all these things willy-nilly to them. Why should they then be ungrateful? It is you who probably doesn't really think. So to say, if you think it is more convenient to blame them and ignore what we have become ourselves, there are characters today who are also who are making decisions over our lives now. Their decisions are going to come back to bite us in the nearest future. 20 years ago, we were 3 years into the Western democracy they gave to us. Democracy. 3 years we were into it. That was 2002 rather. 20 years ago. Guess what? 20 years after, there was no future plan for anybody. There was nothing really concrete in the pipeline or anything. Now, the criminals who actually were part of that 20 years or 23 years journey, they are now plotting and planning for our future, the next 20 years. And you think your own children are not going to rise up one day when they look around that they are jobless. They can't find a good job. The economy is in ruins. They have to struggle to feed. Now they can't afford medical bills. They can't pay rent. And this is like in a large scale. We're talking about maybe by then it will be like 300 million people living in extreme poverty in Nigeria. That's the future. So then they will have to sit back and say, they colonized our fathers. They stole our artifacts. They stole our arts. They stole our food. They stole everything. They made us hungry 200 years ago. I don't think that's going to be fair on those children. If you are in your own 50s and you are in your own 60s or 70s right now, look at it. Whatever the world was like when you were just 1 year old, look at the world today. You are older now. Look at the world today. That is the world we have created for ourselves. Or should I say, the world you participated in creating for us. So if we choose that we are done, the Western world will take side. And when they take side, they will take side with the majority who have something to offer. Ordinary power, we couldn't generate or distribute or make stable. Yeah? And so many things that are wrong with us. And we continue to procreate. And today, our young people are besieging the embassies of these once colonists or colonialists who colonized our forebearers. And today, many of us are being said to be slaving away in this same colonized, colonial masters countries. Every day, everyone wants to get out of the world created by those in charge of our lives. The ones that some of you are so offended if anybody says something that you don't like about them. You need to respect this. You need to respect that. Really? I bet maybe you should start respecting yourselves. Maybe by then, they will start respecting you too. I mean, I just thought I should drop that for reference's sake, or let me say for this time. React as you want to react, but reflect as well, because whatever we are going through right now, it is not the making of those who colonized us. No, it's not. It is our own making. So reflect. As you can see, the kind of characters, like I said, there are characters that you will look at and you'll be like, what kind of future are they building? What kind of world are they building? Now, here is Wiki. I wanted to say something on him earlier, but my time is almost up. But I will just let him speak for a moment.
Today, I told Nigerians before, at the appropriate time, I was going to speak. But now that things are coming out, let me be revealing small to you people. So that you people will know the kind of country we are in. So that you know the kind of country we are in. And you know how to see yourself. Are you part of this country? You will now begin to know and ask yourself question. Am I part of this country? Are you said if the presidential candidate comes from the north, that he will resign by the convention of our party, that the candidate of our party, the chairman of our party, will come from the south. When the North Central met in the house of Governor Balmora, the governor of Bauchi State, he said so there. When he made a caucus of the Senate, he told them that when we finish our convention on a Saturday to Sunday, the candidate of the party came to see me in my house in Abuja on Monday, around 10:30 a.m. And that is what I don't like in this country. The candidate told me, I said, listen, I want us to work together. And then he said, look, you must go. I said, why? He said, because when a candidate comes from the north, the chairman will come from the south. And I'm saying, implement what you told me. What offense have I committed? What offense have I committed? And people are just, wicked. It is nothing to do with wicked. It has to do with integrity. This is what you told me. I challenge the presidential candidate to deny this. If he denies this, I go further to say so many things to Nigerians. Because enough is enough. We can't continue this way. They have today told the BOT chairman to resign. Who is talking about chairman of BOT? What is the role of the BOT? BOT is an advisory body. We have never zoned BOT. BOT is an advisory body. BOT is not a decision-making body. Those who run, as it is today, is the presidential candidate or president and chairman of the party. The chairman of the party and the candidate or president, as the case may be, are those who will sit down and take decision. The candidate is from the north. The chairman is from the north. Who will represent the south in decision making? You have taken the president. We have agreed, yes. You can't take the two major positions of a party. You cannot do that. And some psychophants do not understand. What they're interested is going to run out after them, put me in the campaign council. We should forget about greed. What has killed Nigeria are leaders who cannot keep to their integrity, who cannot honor what they have told people. That is what about the problem. Look at the insult. You have told the BOT chairman to resign. So you know, you are not agreeing with us that these things cannot be in one place. But what we are saying, The position we are talking about, which all of us agree, is the chairman of the party. It's not about BOT. One ex-general went to see the BOT chairman, and the candidate went to see him, say, look, resign. We'll give advisory. What is advisory? When the BOT position already is advisory, what advisory position are you going to give him? That is to insult us. The chairman and the president candidate or the president will meet. They take a decision. Nobody represents us. Just wait, pray. Let them win. Then you will see. You just watch. Why are they being arrogant? Why are they being so arrogant? I can tell you, they're arrogant because they believe somebody in the presidency is backing them. But what they don't understand, the same person in the presidency backed somebody as APC presidential aspirant, and the person failed. I will tell Nigerians the appropriate time. Who is that person in the presidency that's backing them, that being arrogant? You can't be arrogant to us. You can't. You can't be arrogant to what I have. You can be arrogant to what you have. But this one we have, you cannot. I will continue to fight this fight. This injustice is enough. We cannot continue to swallow this. When the election is won, the chairman and the candidate who has emerged are those who will sit down and talk about who takes what goes where. They've already taken who will be Senate president. Which one have they given you? You want to take our vote? Will I be chairman of party? What we can say, keep to the agreement. Agreement is agreement. Agreement is agreement.
Agreement. Agreement is agreement. Those are the characters in charge of Nigeria, and likely characters who are going to continue to be in charge of Nigeria. So now tell me, right? So after how many years again, you are going to probably reminded, because you're going to have the king, and then, they are going to ask you or your children, or let's say they're going to tell your children to also blame, your colonizers. But look at those characters. Indeed, for those who know better, it will be ideal. Make everybody go in separate ways. Save yourself the breath, save yourself the energy, save yourself the hatred and the rest of that. And the conspiracy as well, okay? Because if you don't, I have told people myself, make everybody they do it they want to, okay? As it be, whether they do election, Nigeria is toast. Whether they no do election, Nigeria is toast. Whether Bokuwari stayed on or not, Nigeria is toast. It is like a time bomb that is counting. Anywhere you run to, then they there. Share you there with me. Anywhere you think say you want run to, then they there. Now, not to get trapped again is what we are saying. Save the people. Save yourselves from this agony. You see this man on your screen, That is the Boko Haram negotiator for Kaduna, Abuja rail passengers. Okay, so his name is Tukor Mamu. Is Atifku's person. Is aide to Sheikh Osama bin Gumi, and he is also a friend to Shitty Man. You see the Shitty Man, they are all the same. Anywhere you run to, you are done for, as long as it is Nigeria. Just before you make your own children to start blaming the French, start blaming the British, start blaming America, start writing all manner of victimhood messages on social media. Look at your screen. One Nigeria has one end. Everybody go sit down. Last. You go take a seat. So keep it alive. Okay. However, there's somebody who probably feels like you should look at it in a different way as well. Okay. And that person is this pastor.
Mi ò ní pé
never
tí
said.
bàbá ẹ bá jẹ́ chairman APC mi ní kí ló má bí.
I never said
Mi ò
if your
support
father
PDP
is the chairman of
àbí
APC.
Labour.
Neither do I support PDP or
Ohun tó máa
Labour.
pè
I
Nàìjíríà
want to pay this country Nigeria.
ní kí a lọ fún true federalism.
For us to go for true federalism.
Àbí ká pín.
Or we should restructure or secede.
Nǹkan tí Ọlọ́run sọ fún àwa nìyẹn.
And that's what God is telling our Father in the Lord.
Tẹ́ bá tẹ̀ka.
If you decide to vote,
Tí Tinubu bá ti wọlé.
if Tinubu wins,
gbogbo yín ti wọnú ibú lọ nìyẹn.
all of you are going into John.
Olúwa ló sọ bẹ́ẹ̀.
That is God has spoken.
Bí mo ṣe ń sọ yìí náà ni kẹ́ ṣe jù live
Just let
bẹ́ẹ̀.
it go live. Let it go live has spoken.
Bí mo ṣe ń sọ yìí.
Just we have said it.
Jẹ́ ń sọ lóyìnbó kọ́ lè mọ̀ pé mo mọ̀ nǹkan tí mò ń
Let me
sọ.
say in English so that the world is
Sọ
not.
Yorùbá ẹ̀ kí mo sọ Yorùbá ẹ̀.
Okay, sir.
If Nigerians vote for APC.
Orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tó bá dìbò fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú
Nigeria will
APC.
sink.
Kódà Nàìjíríà yóò wọ inú ìrà.
in poverty.
And
the economy will be in shambles.
Kódà ọrọ̀ ajé wa yóò lọlẹ̀ sí.
If the government of APC continues,
tí ìjọba APC bá tẹ̀síwájú.
Nigeria will suffer extraordinary.
Kódà ìyà orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà yóò wà ní ìlọ́po ìlọ́po.
I'm not in support of anybody.
Mi ò tiẹ̀ fọwọ́ tẹ ẹnikẹ́ni lẹ́yìn.
As a matter of fact, I don't vote.
Kódà mi ò tiẹ̀ ń dìbò.
And I will never vote.
Kódà mi ò tí gbà kan ní dìbò.
I am telling you that
mo sọ fún un pé
we have never seen Archie before.
A ò tiẹ̀ tí ì ní ìnira tó.
Then this is when we now experience more Archie.
Kódà aṣẹ̀wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ìnira ni.
We will be sick. The economy will be sick.
Kódà àṣà rẹ̀ ọjọ́ ajé wa náà yóò ṣòjòjò.
I'm not saying anybody should like me.
Mi ò fẹ́ kẹ́nikẹ́ni kó fẹ́ràn mi o.
If I bring a letter to you tomorrow,
tí n bá mú lẹ́tà wá sọ́dọ̀ ẹ lọ́la,
if I bring appeal fund to you, don't give it to
fún mi lówó kó ràn mí lọ́wọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ má tẹ̀ fọ́ sí o.
That's what the Lord have said.
Torí nǹkan náà wí rèé.
And I stand, and that's why I make the pronouncement.
Mo dẹ̀ sì dúró lórí
This is a prophecy.
Àní àsọtẹ́lẹ̀ rèé.
Kò jù yẹn lọ.
It's not much more than that.
Say amen.
Say amen.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it.
Exactly. If you don't get it, forget about it. You can call him pastor of doom. You don't need to be a pastor. Though the pastor said that's what God told him. Listen to me. God did not tell me. Okay? Me, I have put the permutation together. Baba, whether you vote APC or Labour or PDP or anybody where you go, whether you do vote to, or they no do vote, or then just kick everybody out and then one Megida just show up and say, fellow Nigerians, wherever they show up, you see this whole thing is coming to a close. It is like a Big Bang theory. Big Bang theory. You can't save it. Are you with me? Anywhere where you turn around to, you are toast. So it's better you choose your direction carefully, so that when you go land, bah, you have an idea. Waiting push you, waiting land you. For this one, Oja Basani. Trust me. So you don't need anybody where God don't talk to. Now we're done. Me, I didn't have to use God. This is something you can do 1 + 1 2 + 2. They've wrecked the economy. They've destroyed all the security architecture. The borders are porous, right? Overtaken by terrorists. Abi? Now, money changers, swindlers, manipulators, different kind of criminals are in charge of decision making in a country. A lawless place where anything goes. Just sleep and wake up, living for the day. Baba. So anywhere where you turn, you know what I mean now. Baba, you go collect. That's the situation. So anything else, That's why I said blame everyone, or you can indeed add some clarity. Apart from the cloud chasing and every other thing that you might want to say. That's why I don't have anything to say on whatever you want to say about the monarch or about Britain and the rest. I decided to give you an idea that yes, we know them, but what we have done to ourselves. You might say they supported them, they backed them, they did this and that. Well, today, those who are backing them in Nigeria, they are more than those who probably won't back them. You know what I'm saying? By the time you put all of you in different camps, APC, Egbekegbe, they have their camp. People destroy people, they have their camp. Now, the newly created camp, the OB Labour, they have their camp. Now, as it be, in all the camps, everyone is a saint. All the atrocities being committed by APC, Egbekegbe, when you meet the Buharidins or the Buharididirins, the Buhari did not the Buhari did not the Jatus and the rest of them, wherever you meet them, everything they are doing is good. They are their backers and they are in their millions. Don't lie to yourselves, okay? Your uncles, your aunties, they are APC, Egbekegbe member. You know them. You know the members. Some of you know them. I'm not saying you are, but you know them. If they are not part of them, there are many of you in people destroying people today. 16 years, only for everybody to end up in the hand of APC, Egbekegbe. That is the success story of PDP. PDP was so good. They were so successful that jihadists were able to take over power in Nigeria. Look at our lives today. Your mothers, your fathers, your uncles, aunties, anything that happens in people destroying people, as long as they are getting their own crumbs from them, it's better than PAPC at least. So it's good. So all of you are choosing your own oppressors and you are defending them with everything you have in you. But guess what? When it is convenient for you, you can turn around and blame others for what you actually condone, things you support, defend, and some of you have even killed for, especially those of you who kill for politicians. The idea of politicians to make other people die for a position to serve you is never to serve you. The intention is never to serve you. And we know so many of you like that. So I'm asking you, should I put it this way? I'm asking you to have a reflection, like just sit down and be like, can we actually blame them for everything that has come upon us or that is still happening to us? It will be so ignorant of you to continue to peddle that. They are backing them. They are backing them. Listen, they know that if you reject them today, tomorrow, you are going to promote another criminal. When you bring that another criminal up, it doesn't take long to join the club because it is not about the criminal you pull up or any of those rogues that you defend or pull up to be in charge of Nigeria. It's not about them. It's about what they have as interest in Nigeria, which is depleting day by day anyway. You may not know. The only lucrative thing that the United States, the United Kingdom is probably making, the resources that they are making more from in Nigeria today is probably the visa fee. The one that all our poor people, poor and rich anyway, poor people actually have to save for and pay to them, only to be denied the visa to come to the UK, only to be denied the visa to go to Germany, only to be denied visa to go to America. But they collect the money anyway. Some of them are making more money in what you pay as your visa fee and other fees from Nigeria to them than what they are making from your oil. I mean, these days. No joke. So if you look at it very well, who are those sending you to them? Who are those pushing you more to them? Who are those pushing us to them? The decision of the criminals you have there. And as long as you have others who will continue to defend them, root for them, you will see them. Their campaigns is about to start. They have breeded a nest of poor people in their sea of us now. You're going to see majority of them during their campaigns when they start. And all of those people are going to be part and parcel of a process that will produce criminals who are going to loot them and send their family to the UK, who are going to loot them and send their families to, well, their families are already living there anyway, so there's no point. So all of you are going to participate in that with all the family members. Some of you know they are going to participate in all of that. And when you finally make the production and you produce them, we can all sit back and say, the reason why we are poor was because they enslaved our forebearers. God damn it, man. I don't want my children to be thinking like that. I don't want my children to be thinking like that. History is there to be learned from. The slaves of these days, the slaves of this 21st century, they no longer walk about in chains. Many of them are being controlled by their bellies. The people we call the belly lecturers, people who have been controlled by their bellies, what they're going to feed on. So anything else or everything else doesn't really matter anymore. It doesn't make any sense anymore. Do you get that? So that's why I said that just reflect, okay? Show your rage. And those who have actually expressed other things that they could associate with as the good side of what the British did, I don't think the context is going to really make any much sense today. But at least I live in the UK. And trust me, every now and then, yeah, that I wish that United Kingdom, or put it this way, the British Crown, never, ever halted my own history too. But here I am. Should I then be imprisoned by that? Or should I learn from it and move on? When I can watch right now that the British are no longer the ones putting the chains on the necks of my own people anymore. It's actually my own people who are now casting this chain, thick propaganda chains, ignorance as well, as a means of keeping them down in order to keep them poor. So if somebody like me, educated and enlightened enough, want to learn from history, I should never be imprisoned by that history. And I hope some of you will never be imprisoned by that history. Being imprisoned by that history is to learn the hate, the hatred, to learn the hunger, and then to learn all those vices that you have every right to, by the way. You do. But now keeping them as something is not helping you. When you can look around and see the present damages that could not even like make up for what we have lost. Okay? Imagine if we have had our own separate countries as we were set for independence at the time and nothing was altered, truncated, right? I probably shouldn't be speaking Yoruba. Shouldn't be speaking English right now, like the Chinese. They never lost their languages. Eh? Look around you. There are many, many like that who didn't lose their languages, but our progenitors, they were comfortable with that, even though they were taught English. But what? They ensured that millions of us are trained and, taught the same thing. They made it official language because they wanted to keep the economic benefits, reasons why they kept, where they created Nigeria for themselves too, with a cut for those you can call their own masters. All in all, we have been handed over to the local slave masters that so many of you have associated with, identified with, and you will defend even with your blood, as you do on social media every day. But the point is this: when you show that anger, when you express that frustration, as much as you have every right to it, you're always going to go back to the reality created by those who took over from this colonist or colonialist. Now, what have they done to us? Your answer is mine. I'm going to stop there. However, I want to say thank you anyway for you spending your evening with me again. I was going to take calls in order to hear from other people too, but I am going to pass that tonight until tomorrow, possibly. Then we can possibly have our People's Parliament over the weekend. However, I just want us to reflect, okay? React, reflect, and possibly digest what you've managed to make out of this whole thing. Show your anger, like I said, but at the same time, do not lose focus. Do not drop your gaze. The enemy they wanted to go and look for, or they wanted to go and fight, even the one they sent you to Mecca or Jerusalem to go and stone, they are nowhere close to those places. They are so next to you. They are pasting posters right now. If you are looking for the devil who have contributed to our own stagnation, and they continue to do so, right? Look in the mirror and check your own role in all of this. Then you realize that it takes a generation to destroy a generation. And look at this, or in fact, destroy generations. Now, the generation that took over from our own colonizers, what did they do to us? What have they done to us? Thank you very much for your time. And I'm going to see you some other time. So if you spend your evening to this point, you can help me still share the broadcast until I see you again. Good night.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dódòdó.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dódòdó.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Maiyegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ará ìlú.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Maiyegun já wa sí.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Bó bá ṣe eré àní Maiyegun máa wí.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Maiyegun diary Politico.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Maiyegun.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Àní Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ tó dódòdó.
Maiyegun diary na him be number one.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Maiyegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Lórí Facebook.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Lórí YouTube.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Bí gómìnà kówó jẹ.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú.
Maiyegun máa wí.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o, Maiyegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀, Maiyegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Oníkan ṣáàtì ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣà ìtú wọn síta.
Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
tẹnitẹni ọmọ Máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́run ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù bọ́tà ń lérí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́ bẹ̀. èèpo ọ̀bọ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti dọba lórí àbínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ bùyà àìsíwọ̀lú ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o ó kó ẹni tó bá dán o àkàmù Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì o ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.